Hey guys, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit today about my cancer journey and how it began, what stage I'm at right now, and where we're going in the future. Now, I've been considering doing this for quite some time now, so I'm a little bit into the process. So this may be a little bit longer of a video just because I have to kind of explain everything that happened up till today so that you understand everything from that point on. So I'm just going to get started here, and this is my first YouTube video, so just bear with me. So I do have stage 4 colon cancer, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey and what I've been through so far. This all started on March 22nd. For a couple weeks prior to that date, I had been having a lot of pressure and swelling and discomfort in my stomach. It was mostly in the higher part of my stomach under the rib cage. But it got to the point where, it was concerning me. So I went to the emergency room in my local area. They did a CT scan, and they downplayed it and told me that they did see what could possibly be an ovarian cyst, but they weren't sure. So they also did an ultrasound. And they sent me to a gynecologist in my local area. When I met with her, she explained that it was not an ovarian cyst. It was a very large mass that was filling my entire pelvic region. So she sent me to a oncology doctor because she had a suspicion that it was cancer. But it definitely needed to be surgically removed, and she was not willing to take on that task. So I met with the oncology doctor on March 30th. He scheduled the surgery for April 4th. It was a large incision surgery that went from about an inch above my belly button all the way down to the bottom of my stomach. The surgery was successful. He was able to remove the mass. Just a second. I'm sorry about that. He was able to remove the mass successfully. So that was great. So during my first interaction with the doctor after the surgery, he let me know that he was able to remove everything he saw. The large mass was intertwined with both of my ovaries. Then I also had a tumor that was connected to the left side of my pelvic wall, but he was able to remove that also. So at that point, his diagnosis was stage 2 ovarian cancer. Okay. So I stay in the hospital a few days. I come home. It was a rough recovery. It was a bad surgery. But I made it through, And then I get a call from their office. They had sent my samples out for pathology. The type of cancer that it was showing as was mucinous adenocarcinoma, which does not usually originate in the ovaries. So his concern was that the cancer was coming from somewhere else, which was the worst, possible case. but he said the two main suspects would usually be either your stomach or your colon. So he did set me up to have an endoscopy to check my stomach and a colonoscopy to check my colon. I did that on May 2nd. They did find a tumor in my colon, so that let us know that that was the primary cancer area. So I went into the hospital again on May 16th for my second surgery. So that's how we've got to my now current correct diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer that had metastasized to the pelvis and the ovaries. So I go in on May 16th for my second surgery. This surgery was, the main purpose of this surgery was to put in a colostomy bag because the tumor in my colon was causing a blockage. So he did tell me that the main purpose of the surgery was not like the first one. They were not going in just to remove the tumor. They were going in to do the colostomy. But if they were able to remove the tumor while they were doing that, they would. So, of course, when I come out of surgery, that's my first question. Did they remove the tumor? And they did. So, that was great. But then started my journey of learning a whole new process with the colostomy. It's a big deal, y'all. You know, it's not something that the average citizen deals with every day. It's not something I had ever had any experience with, either personally or with a family member or friend. It's been a process, you know. I mean, it's healing really good. There were some concerns at first about blood flow and things like that, but everything's good now with the colostomy. It's, you know, doing its job. I have a home health nurse that comes twice a week, you know, to check on me and make sure everything's okay. So that is comforting, you know, to know that I have help there when I need it. So from there, June 2nd, I met with my medical oncologist for the first time. So my case, I've kind of worked backwards. Usually when you're diagnosed with cancer, the medical oncologist would be the first one that you saw, and then he would decide what needed to happen. But with my case, where that original mass was so large, I started out with the surgeons because that could not wait. So I met with my medical oncologist on June 2nd. I really, really like them. They have a really nice center. They have a really nice infusion center for my chemo. Everybody there was super friendly. Even my mom commented from the time we went in the door, every facility staff member that we met, even in the hallway, said hello to us. You know, I mean, it was really nice. So when I met with the medical oncologist, his recommendation after reviewing my very large file that I have already, his recommendation was to do 2 different types of chemo. One will be, and if you, okay, and I've totally skipped over the part where I had my port placed. I did have a port placed somewhere in between all of that. I think it was around April 29th, maybe. It was after my first surgery. But I did have a port placed, and this is where they'll do the blood draws and the infusions and everything like that. So, one of my chemos will be through my port, and I'll only have to have that one every 3 weeks. And then I will also be taking a oral chemo pill. Now that one, when I had met with him, he wasn't completely sure about the dosing. He had to get all that worked out with the specialty pharmacy, but he was pretty sure that I would take it 3 times a day, and it would be Monday through Friday, and then I could take a break on Saturday and Sunday without having to have it. So both of the chemos have all the normal stuff, as far as the side effects that you think of when you hear the word chemo, the fatigue, the nausea, all of that stuff. Now, the infusion chemo that I'm going to be taking also has an odd side effect that I had never heard of. Now, I did speak with a nurse friend of mine, and she had heard of it before, but I had never heard of it. They said it would create a huge aversion to anything cold. So even if I stick my hand in the refrigerator to get a drink out, or there's a fan on and it blows directly on me, if I'm barefooted and I walk on like a tile floor that's cold, any contact with anything cold like that will cause that part of your body to go numb and tingle. So even if you're drinking something, it has to be room temperature. Even if you drink something cold, your throat will go numb and tingle. So that's going to be interesting to deal with. They did say it happens to everybody they've ever seen take it. It pretty much takes effect immediately during the first dose. So that's going to be something, more or less that I'm going to have to deal with, and that may be interesting. I'm going to take you guys with me through my journey. I don't know if 2 people will watch this, or 20 people, or 200. I don't know how many people are going to watch this, but if you're interested, if you're newly diagnosed like me, or, if you've been going through it a while and you're just interested on how somebody else's journey has went, I welcome you to come with me. It's not fun. I'll try to make it as interesting as I can. I know today was a lot because I had some catching up to do. But, I'm not a pro at this. I did go through lung cancer with my husband. But this is a whole new thing. This is a different journey. Everybody's journey is different, and I do realize that. But, I know that I watch videos because when you first get that diagnosis, you're scared, and you feel like, especially if you don't have anybody else in your family that's ever been through it like me, or any close friends that have ever been through it, it does make you feel alone, like you're going through this big giant thing that nobody can really understand unless they've been there too. People can support you, absolutely, and people can make you feel better, and people can tell you it's going to be okay, but it's hard to really know what someone's going through unless you've been there too. So, if this interests you, or, like I said, if you're in the same boat, or you're even newer diagnosed than I am, and you kind of want to see what could be to come and how this stuff is handled, then come back and watch my videos. I will, anytime something new comes up, or when I start my chemo treatments, I'll keep you guys updated, let you know what's going on, what type of symptoms I'm feeling, how I'm dealing with those symptoms, and it won't always be doom and gloom. I'll try to make it, entertaining is not the word I want to use. I'll try to make it, as happy as I can and informative as I can without it feeling like a lecture or a documentary, So just come back. Like